Hey, welcome to the show. I am Salt. We got a lot of things to talk about today, and we're going to explore some things that we haven't really gone into depth on before, and see if we can get some clarity. Let's go with this first clip, Jeremy.
The Republican Party in Texas was started on the 4th of July, 1867 in Houston, Texas by 150 blacks and 20 whites. It was that way across the South. The Republican parties were started in the South by African Americans. In the state of Texas, two of our first three statewide Republican chairmen were African American. The first 42 black legislators elected in Texas were all Republican. The first 112 black legislators elected in Mississippi were all Republican. The first 190 black legislators elected in South Carolina were all Republican. The first 41 in Georgia, the first 127 in Louisiana. So now you've got all these African Americans really stepping up and starting to gain political standing, political power. Now, you have Democrats on the other side who have been very racist. It's in their platforms. They support the Dred Scott decision. They think the fugitive slave law is great. They started a nation to keep slavery alive. Very racist. And so now they're facing a situation where that these blacks are now their rulers, are now in office, are now U.S. senators, are now U.S. How do you stop that?
Okay, Black history. As I grow older, I'm really learning there's a lot more to my history than what I've been told even by my ancestors, those who raised me and those that came before them, about our Black history. The white man brought us from the motherland into another land and sold to the white man. There's elements of truth in that. And I remember the first crack the crack in that story introduced to me when I learned that there were blacks in Africa that were bringing other blacks to the slave owners to ship over to here. The element that was missing in that story is that our own people are the ones who betrayed us into slavery. The Democratic Party and the Republican Party, and as I've said before, when I was a kid, my grandma told me we Democrats. Okay, the Democrats is for the poor, black people, and the Republicans is for rich people, white people. And now she wasn't prejudiced. Her friends were white. And I think there were things in that time when she came up, and that was just understood. It wasn't that you were prejudiced. You just stayed. You stayed in your lane. If you had your white friends or if white people had their black friends, it was understood. But it was also an understanding, at the end of the day, you go to your corner, I go to my corner, we'll meet up and, and have coffee at work, but outside of that, it's not really that much interaction. And it wasn't that, anybody was prejudiced or anything like that. Those that didn't mind intermingling with the opposite of their race. Actually, this Democratic Republican, nobody taught me who started the Republican Party. Nobody taught me who started the Democratic Party. Nobody taught me that after slavery ended, that we had more black people that were in politics than ever in our history. Nobody ever told me that. And this news was readily available to those of my people who were teaching our black history. And so now I'm realizing something that was perpetuated to me in my community is that victimhood. We'll talk about being taken away as slaves and mothers being ripped from their children and families being broken up and sold to this plantation. And these things did happen. But I was never told that there were black free people that had slaves also in this country. I was never told about that. And I don't understand why just over these last 10 to 20 years, now this information is coming out. There were black slave owners. I just think that it's so important. And now here's the thing. All of this information I've been hearing over the last 5 years, I've been hearing so much about how the Republican Party was pro-black, how the Republican Party was started by blacks, and how the Ku Klux Klan was a democratic movement. But even though this information is known, why are we still standing?
I was today's years old when I learned that.
Wow. Why are we still standing as black people and backing these politicians, these black politicians who know this information, they gotta know, and they're still standing behind these issues. Let's move on to this. We're gonna stay on this road of Republican Democrat for a moment.
I dare you to find one Islamic extremist that votes for Donald Trump. Never do it. When I was an extremist, Islamist, fundamentalist, I would only vote left.
Why is that?
I saw them as very stupid. I would fear the conservatives because they come with principle. That's not someone they can brainwash. But the left, I know they have no values and no principles to begin with. I dare you to find one Islamic extremist that votes for Donald Trump.
Okay. So this here's an ex-Islamic jihad, ex-jihadist. And he's giving you an inside look at how extremists think. They want Democrats in power. They want Democrats in office because they know that the Democrats are not going to do anything. The Democrats are caught up with everything but protecting us. They're caught up with everything, every other agenda that has everything to do with everything but this country. Okay. I don't remember seeing Democratic initiative for the soldiers. You know, I got to touch on this for 1 second. I don't understand. We got a great nonprofit organization called the Wounded Warrior Project, right? Great organization. They do a lot for our wounded soldiers. But here's the thing I don't understand. I don't understand why we have to have a private entity taking care of soldiers who fought for this country, who lost limbs for this country. I don't understand why a nonprofit has to go on TV and do commercials to get people to donate.
And effectively get that money to the real people in a timely manner.
But we can send, let me calm down. But we can send money all over the place. But we can't sit here and take care of the soldiers who put their life on the line, who put their life on hold, life on the line, and now can't even live a life because of the things that happened to them in the military. And we got to depend on private organizations to do things like pay for hospital visits when they have to go out of state hotel stays and things like that.
That's just this country was based on. The taxes were low and charity was the way that the people took care of the needy. Yeah. It wasn't the government's position to take care of the needy. It was the charitable religious sect who took care of their own.
Right. That's right. You know, and it's just like I don't see the Democrats standing up for that. Also, jihadists, they're more interested, and you know what? I'm all over the place. Y'all forgive me. I'm all over the place. But you know what? I've
got
heard,
no anchor.
Yes. I heard. You know, I remember back when 9/11 took place, right? And there was a lot of bigotry against Muslims, and I wasn't down with that. And I understand that there were Muslims in this country, people who practice Islam, who are good people, and they were scared, and they had a right to be scared. You know, after the towers went down, and you know, with the whole Osama bin Laden thing and this and that, and everybody was like, "Yes, you know, we gotta, we stand, what's that word that we use now? In solidarity, you know, with the Islamic community." And now here's the same Democrats who stand in solidarity with the Islamic community. But as my man just said, we know they hate homosexuality. They are not pro-transgender. They are not pro anything that isn't male or female, marriage between man and woman, and on and on. They are for family. But you know what? They're never attacked about that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they'll attack Christians. Oh, the Christians, you know, but they never say anything about how the Islamic community does not endorse homosexuality or any of those things. Again, because in the climate that we live in today, I have to make clear, I'm not speaking that I'm standing against homosexuality or any gender identifications. What I'm saying is, as a Democratic Party, they stand in solidarity with the Islamic community, but they've been standing, and now here's this now. If in standing in solidarity with the Islamic community, then they're standing in solidarity against homosexuality, against transgender, against equal rights for the LGBTQIA+ community. if you're standing in solidarity. So these are the contradictions of the Democratic Party.
Hypocrisy.
Here's another contradiction of the Democratic Party, and I haven't found anybody to answer this question for me. The Democratic Party is for the lower class, middle class, to help them get a hand up. Right. So now, if the Democratic Party is really for helping people move up, earn higher wages. Wait a minute. Yeah, I'm going to come back to that. Earn higher wages. Now, once they cross a certain threshold and they're no longer middle class, is the Democratic Party still for them? Or now have they become the enemy because they're in a different tax bracket? And now their income has changed. Business owners, entrepreneurship.
But they're missing part of it. Here's what they're saying: higher wages. What they're neglecting to say is the politicians are raising inflation so high that by raising the wage, it's not the tide is raising.
Right.
The tide's just keeping up with the height of the dock.
Right. So like $15 an hour now.
The distance between that and what shit cost is still
right. It's still the same.
Obscenely.
Right. Let's go to this next clip.
Listen.
White folks are not thinking about us. You know who white folks are thinking about? They're thinking about their children, their families, their communities, their education, their husbands, their wives, and their neighborhoods. That's who they should be thinking about. That's who Asians are thinking about. They ain't thinking about you. I had a very good friend of mine say to me not long ago, he said, George, I know black people's problem. I said, oh, really, Bob? What's black people's problem? He said, you spend all your time thinking about us, and we don't spend any of our time thinking about you. So if you ain't thinking about you, and we damn sure ain't thinking about you, who's thinking about you?
And here we go. Round and round it goes. You know he's right. Man, you see, man, what these white folks doing, you, man. Man, these white folks, they get to do this and that. Man, all we do is talk about what they're doing and what they're doing. And we ain't talking about it. Only time we talking about what we doing as a people is mostly when we hate on each other. I'm just going to be real about it. I'm just going to be honest about it. Nobody tells the truth when Obama was first running for president that everybody, black people, was still going with Hillary Clinton. Everybody's like, who is this nigga, man? I don't know this thing. Man, I'm going with Hillary. Nobody tells the truth about that. But we spend no time thinking about us. We're always talking about what they doing in politics and what this law they passed and what they trying to stop and this and that. But nobody's talking about.
I think Groucho Marx said it best, is that you'd be really surprised how little people think about you at all anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, your people included.
Yeah.
I don't think about white people. I don't think about anyone but me.
Yeah, you know what? That's really that's really true. You know, we're not that important. Nobody is not that important
To anyone else outside of their circle.
Outside of their circle. I remember sometimes, like, you know, when I was younger, when I thought everything was about me. And, like, you know, I'll trip. And I'm looking around. I want to see who's looking at me. And, you know, I see somebody, he might even be looking at me. They're just looking in a direction. I'm like, yeah, F you. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're really thinking about me. And I think about all the people that I saw trip, right? I see them trip like, oh, that's funny. And I'm going about my business. I don't spend the rest of my day thinking about these
Speaking about business, when I was a kid growing up, I had a fear of going to do my business, especially if there was any girls around, because I would think they know what I'm doing in here.
Right.
And that would be so much pressure. And then when other people go, I'm going to go to the bathroom, and then all of a sudden you didn't really see them again. All of a sudden you just saw them again. You don't remember they left and went to the bathroom. I was in my 30s before I realized probably no one's even thinking about me in this bathroom.
Nobody's even thinking about it, man. We're not that important.
Yeah.
You know, we spend so much time focusing on everybody else and what this person is doing, what that person is doing, and not focusing on what we're doing. You know, I think if black people, that we still got a long way to go as black people. I'm not thinking about anybody until there's something that needs to be done. Hey, what happened over here? Yeah. All right, so let's get that taken care of. And I'm done. I'm gone. Let's go to this next clip.
Remember, inflation when Trump left was 1.4%. And it was that way because the imports coming in from Mexico and China and other places were so low, it drove down all the prices. Right. Trump did that. Because everything with Trump is a deal. It's always a deal. So I said to him, so you gave up the designation of terror group for that? He goes, yeah. I said, we won't do it if you do X, Y, and Z. I couldn't argue with it. Helps the economy in the United States, drops migration 80% in his last year. He was an effective president.
Why do they hate him so much in Washington?
What?
Why do they hate Trump so much in Washington?
because Trump doesn't respect them. He's not in awe of them. Washington, as you know, because you live there, is all about the cocktail parties. It's all about the social invitations, mingling with the powerful, going here, going there. Cafe Milano. Oh, I had dinner with Senator so-and-so tonight. That's what it's all about. Trump didn't care about those people at all. And he wasn't respectful to them.
No.
I mean, you know, he looked at the FBI and the CIA, and he didn't fear or respect them, and they didn't like it.
Why they hated Trump so much. Trump wasn't there to respect them. Trump wasn't there to play the game. You know, I remember hearing about politics. You know, there's a game. You got to know how to play the game. And Trump didn't come in to fit in. He just came in to make the changes that he knew he would be able to make as a president, to do the things he'd been looking at for decades. And I'll say this again. I've said it before. On Netflix, there's a documentary on Trump, The American Dream. And they do an interview with Trump. And he talks about the same things he made changes on. But he talked about America getting robbed. This was back in the 80s. He said, I'm tired of watching this country get robbed. Okay. And this was in the 80s. And finally, 40 years later, he becomes president and he makes the moves. And like O'Reilly was saying, it's like everything with Trump was a deal. All right, you won't be designated as a terrorist group, but here's what we're going to do. You want to make some money? You want to be a terrorist group or you want to make some money? All right, if you want to make some money, I'm going to take away that designation. Okay, that way you'll be able to do business with us and your goods will be able to come over here and you can make some money. All right, deal or no deal? All right, good. No terrorist group. Let's go. Next thing. And that's what it was about with Trump, is just getting stuff done. I don't need to sit with you, man. I don't care about how long you've been a senator. I don't care what committee you sit on. I don't care anything about none of those things.
The president of Egypt would have stood him up and backed out of a meeting after he got on a plane to go meet him specifically?
Right.
Because
right. So it's like Trump was just about, let's get this done. What do we got to do to get things running to do better for this country? Why would you be against someone who's doing nothing but standing up to people around the world?
Well, if they're against you, that's your first sign you're doing something right.
Yeah. Let's go to this next clip. We're gonna segue into this. Why?
To even get a mugshot of the president, what does that say about our nation? Former president, let me see.
That's scary. Yeah, because they typically have immunity.
Typically, yeah.
But that goes to show you, homie, he had to been good for us.
Yeah, they're trying to stop a good thing, huh?
He had to been good for us.
They're trying to stop a good thing.
Just something so significant as to what you just said. The first president ever, nigga, to have a mugshot.
He
had to been good for us. Because he didn't come in as a politician.
Damn.
He came and shook up their game. And then he got to pay for it.
They rewrote the rules.
Yeah. He didn't play the game. You know, when he said something really intriguing, he had to be good. To go through all this effort to stop this man, he had to be good. He had to be good. Like he said, generally, president, all right, you done did some, all right, whatever, get on out of here. You done did your time. You got knucklehead.
Carter, the worst president.
Yeah.
But 18%, it's like buying a house on a credit card. Is he on a mugshot?
So I am liberal in line with the Constitution of the United States. Okay, you want to have a gun? By all means. Okay, we're not taking all the cars off the road for all the drunk drivers that kill people. We're not saying,
it's legal to drive and drink and drive.
We got to remove all cars from the road because these drunk drivers, they're killing too many people.
If it was illegal to drink and drive, there wouldn't be any parking lots at bars. You just can't be drunk.
Yeah.
Legally drunk.
Or you can't, you
be
can
impaired.
No, you can be drunk. You just
can't
don't get caught.
Well, you can't be impaired. It's illegal to be impaired, but it's not illegal to drink and drive.
Right. Okay, yeah, you're right.
You just can't be 0.08. You can be 0.07. And if that's 3 shots in 4 hours, you drank and then you drove.
Okay. So if I don't
That's legal.
I don't drink, right? So basically, now that I'm thinking about it, I can get pulled over and I have a beer. This will be my first beer. And I go, hey, officer, what's going on? You want a beer? And he go, all right, I'm going to need you to step out of the car. Absolutely not. Why am I stepping out of the car?
Well, you can't have an open container in a car, but if the cop watched you drink a beer at a hot dog stand, right, because they sold beer,
right,
and then you got in your car and drove, totally legal. When they blow, if it's below 0.08, you are legal, and you pass the sobriety test, which is almost impossible. That's a rigged game too, by the way.
Right.
That's what you do a whole show on that.
So I can drink a beer in front of an officer. He just give me a citation for an open container.
Absolutely.
Can't take me to jail for an open
He
container.
could take you to jail for anything. You could go to jail for the smallest business, but it's illegal. It's a misdemeanor.
Right.
Just like jaywalking.
All right. So if you want to take me to jail for open container, tell me where you're gonna tow my car.
Yeah. You don't have to
let me finish this and let's go.
Yeah.
So. But
when you get to jail and they blood test you and you're not 0.08, they cannot charge you with
a DUI.
You're gonna skate with a good lawyer, if anything, because it's not it's not illegal.
Right.
That's what I said. Otherwise, there wouldn't be parking lots at bars.
Right. Yeah, that's right. You know what? We should start an initiative to ban parking lots and bars. For the safety of the people.
Hey,
for the safety of the public. We don't want people getting in their
cars. I got about 3 comedians that have the funniest shit talking about that.
And in actuality, now I'm going to be a liberal for a second. Because in actuality, if we ban parking lots at bars, what we're going to be doing is we're taking more cars off the road. Okay, and more cars off the road means less of pollution going into the air, and we're actually saving our environment by closing down these parking lots.
And you're promoting business by making them take Ubers and Lyft and share rides.
We're also helping the working class Uber driver and Lyft driver by forcing them to take. But there's a key word in that: forcing them.
Yeah, that's true. Forcing them.
Now we're forcing.
There we go.
All right.
Well, if that was the case, it would be .01 is illegal. And that's just not the case.
Yeah. So this is our Democratic Party, man. This is why Trump had no respect for the Democratic Party. He didn't have no respect for the Republican Party either. He had no respect for the system. That's right. I think that's what needs to be cleared up. It's not that he had no respect for the Democratic Party.
For the rigged games.
He didn't have no respect for the Republican Party. He ran, and the key word, he ran as a Republican.
The president should not be political.
Right.
It should be a unicorn, and it should be a business person because they're running the business of America.
Right. That's what they're running the business of America. You're exactly right. Okay, so
Get the politicians
more about our great Democratic Party. Okay, but before we go there, we're gonna pay some bills. You've heard me mention these guys before, and you got to reach out to these guys. Suds and Buds. Mobile detailing, not car wash. And you want your car wash, go to one of those $8 car washes, and you can stay in your car and you can drive it through and get your car scratched up and $8. And you have some kid run out for $3, $3 more, and he'll spray your tires and make it look shiny for a second. Okay, that's a car wash. But Suds and Buds, it's car detailing from the underside to the top side. That's what these guys do. Now, they say the wealthy buy time. You may not be wealthy yet, but buy yourself an hour and a half. Instead of doing that yourself, call Suds and Buds and buy yourself an hour and a half. And while they're out there taking care of your car, you can be doing something else that makes you money. Everybody's concerned about money today. Everybody's concerned about time. See, here's the thing. One thing you can never get back. You can lose $10. You can get $10 back. You can lose a couple hours of work and stay late, and later on in the week make those hours up on your check. But once you lose time, that unit of measure time, you can never get that back. That hour and a half you use to wash your car, polish it, tires and armor all the inside, all that time you're taking to take care of your baby, you could be doing something else more productive. So, Suds and Buds, reach out to these guys, 954-995-6529. That's 954-995-6529. They're licensed and insured. These are not some guys who just picked up a water trailer and put it on the back of the truck and they're riding around trying to make a couple dollars. This is a business. It's so much of a business that anywhere in the country, if you guys want to have your own Suds and Buds, you can give us a call and they'll talk to you about a franchise. If you're interested in franchising a Suds and Buds of your own, call 954-995-6529. Car detailing is where it's at. They come to you. Save your money. Save your time. So on to this next clip.
There's more. After transgender and transracial, we got transabled. Yeah, this one's really messed up. Physically healthy people who feel they should have been born disabled. A man in Great Britain cut off his arm because he felt like an amputee. A woman in North Carolina poured drain cleaner in her eyes because she felt blind. Transgender, transracial, transabled. Guess what's next? A grown man posting an ad on Craigslist wanting a nanny because he identifies as a baby. You can't make this stuff up. Ridiculous? Perhaps, but who's to say anymore if that's how he feels? If a man can be a woman because he feels like one, if a white person can be a black person because she feels like one, if a healthy person can mutilate herself because she feels disabled, if a grown man can be a baby because he feels infantile, where does this end?
So that's how ridiculous things are getting. That's a testament to, speaking your truth. And your truth can be whatever it is that you decide is your truth. And if I put that label on, if I put my truth, you have to accept it. You have to allow me to be whoever I am. And, the thing is, and she's right, where does it stop? It doesn't. Okay, and I know this. This is the way I take a stand on the issues today. I do talk about them on my show, on our show. But the way I take a stand as a man who identifies as a man, who was born as a man, I don't identify as a man. I was born a man, a male. I have the equipment of a male. You know how I take a stand on the bathroom issue? I use the bathroom assigned to my gender. That's it. And I just use that bathroom. That's where my stand comes in. There are many people who are taking all kinds of identifications and they're using them. And they're not using them for the sake of identifying with anything. It's just, you tell somebody they can do something. Now you can be whatever you want.
Well, the funny thing is, then they said gay marriage, slippery slope. Next, they're going to want to marry dogs. And you go, that's ridiculous. But in school systems, there are people who identify as dogs and cats. And the teachers have to allow them to communicate with each other and put litter boxes in the fucking bathroom. And I'm not making that up.
Wow. So here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. I use that example when I begin to ask these questions. Where does this end? Okay. You're gonna have people who are gonna want to marry their goats, who are gonna want to marry their sheeps. Okay. Who are going to say they have the right. Yeah. They're going to say that they have the right to make love to their animal because they love their animal. If people are now allowed to bring their animal into a restaurant.
Look at the planes.
Okay. And who are you to determine what emotional support, what's my level of emotional support? So where does it stop?
I think that ties with your emotional stability. It's a very key indicator.
Now, if I remember this. Now, again, I am not anti-homosexuality, anti-LGBTQIA+. None of those things. I'm not anti. Our Constitution says, hey, you can do that. Do it. You got to identify as it. Where does it stop? I remember when the same-sex marriage issue began to start taking traction, right? And the thing was how do you have the right to declare what marriage is? Who are you to say that marriage is between man and a woman? Who are you to say that that was what marriage is? Okay, so now we push the envelope. Who are you to say that marriage is between two human beings?
Marriage has the government eyes as a sham anyway. It's just a tax.
Okay, so who are you? I'm gonna marry my goat. Okay.
Yeah.
And people are gonna be making love to their goat, and you are disgusting. If you tell me that I'm disgusting for wanting to do that with this is my right.
Well, but also the flip side of that is when someone else says, well, I'm marrying a goat and a goat is another human being who identifies as a goat, and you say there's nothing mentally ill with that.
Right.
And if you do say there's mental illness with that, you are disgusting.
And and you're making fun of people who really do have mental health issues because mental health is real.
Well, I don't think you're making fun of it. I think making fun of it's more healthy than ignoring it.
Okay.
Because at least if you're making fun of it, you're spotlighting it.
Right. Yeah, you're bringing some
These people are ignoring it and promoting it.
Right. So it's like
allowing kids to go to the bathroom in a litter box in a school is dangerous.
Yeah, that's dangerous. Let's look at this mom right here. Let's see what we got going on.
Hello, everyone. I've been coming here for 5 years now, and I was going to talk to you about some practical things that I thought you could change about 3210, but I've changed my mind. I've been really confused over the last 5 years as to why we spend 45 minutes to an hour of every public meeting talking about how great everyone is and how great everything is in the schools, and now I've figured it out. I figured it out because all these people came here to defend you all from hurtful words. This is obnoxious. Let me just say, there is one goal for the educational system. It should be to prepare children to enter careers to be productive members of society. It is not a counseling session. It is not a self-help area. It is not somewhere to find yourself, and we should not be led by the children, for goodness sake. The children are called dependents for a reason. They depend on us. We are talking about trying to figure out how to make our children be as successful as possible, and I am sure that that is your goal.
Let kids be kids. And she, I think she had a really valid point that, we hear all this mental health with kids and all this stuff going on in schools, and you're talking with kids about stuff that kids shouldn't even be. Kids should be thinking about who they're going to play with. Okay, getting homework done. Learn how to do their math and or whatever the case may be. Studying, not trying to figure out, what am I?
Right.
And
when their brains aren't developed.
Their brains aren't developed. I mean, they say our brains,
25.
guys, our brains aren't even fully developed until we do 26?
Yeah.
So this is where, like she said, the confusion and the depression and all these things that kids are experiencing. Kids, I never heard so many young kids talking about that they wanted to kill themselves, thinking about suicide at that age. If you're that overwhelmed and you got all these social issues and you got issues being told to you that your mind.
Well, I think contributes to that is the adults that they trust are putting so much of this heavy shit on them that it's overwhelming their mind, their neurological system, their nervous condition.
It's too much to comprehend.
Yep.
Because when you tell a child,
people they trust,
what they can be, and then you're like, all right, so kids talk. I'm like, so if I like boys, so that means that's how I'm gonna have sex.
Everything's black and white, right?
Yeah. So and
digital, on or off.
Right. And it's like, so wait a minute. So if I identify as this, like who am I supposed to like?
And it's forever.
Like how does it work? And once
when a girl broke your heart,
yeah,
you were hurt forever until somebody else winked at you.
All right, let's go.
Why is that a deal breaker? Is it because it makes you insecure?
It has nothing to do with insecurity.
It's
this is a dream world hypothetical scenario. Girls really don't be hitting up guys like this. Would you be okay with your long-term monogamous partner going to a nightclub, bar, or party type environment where throughout the course of the night he's going to get approached, flirted with, and sexually pursued by numerous attractive women, some of which are more attractive than you and could potentially be a better partner than you, and these women are buying him drinks, getting him drunk, and enthusiastically want to sleep with him that night and steal him away from you? You're going to tell me you'd be okay with that?
No, not with that. Definitely no.
So you can see how this can be a little contradictory, because none of you would be okay with it, right? But then you say guys should be okay with girls going out all the time.
So I thought this was very interesting, right? Because what women love to say about us, about guys, that's just your insecurity. You don't want me going out, and you don't like girls just being them and wearing that stuff, and we wear this stuff, and we should be able to. Yeah, you should. Okay, but if a woman has a man, has a significant other, or if someone has a partner, we're gonna cross all lines. If someone has a partner, okay, should they be going out and intermingling in places where people are actively or could be or would be actively pursuing them? And also, while they're continuously getting under the influence of something. Is that insecurity or just understanding, man, things happen, man. You do have these things. They don't talk about it that much anymore. Date rape. People are still getting raped out there. Okay, people are still getting killed out there. And you know what? As a side note, I'm going to bring some people in sometime in the future. You know what I don't hear about? The violence of the LGBTQIA plus community.
What do you mean you say the violence? People...
The sexual violence.
Against them?
Yes, within the community.
Oh, within their community.
Because I'm dealing with human nature, right? You have people who are born as male who go around and they rape women. Okay. Who are born as male, who have the equipment. You have women also who are raping also. I know I've heard of, like in female prisons, women are raping women. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so, are you telling me that this isn't going on in the LGBTQ community?
They do not talk about that.
You know, and so it's made to appear. It's made to appear like, you know, that everything's beautiful over there and this and that. And I'm not saying that we want to talk about the violence over there, but I think there should be a clear picture of that. These things go on also within the LGBTQIA plus community. That people are being assaulted, people are being drugged, okay, by this community.
Well, I think the really crazy thing is they're putting sexual predator males who say now that they identify as a woman in women's prison.
Yeah.
And they are letting them copulate with women.
And they're blowing them
against their will. And if the woman complains, she's being
they're blowing them up. That's crazy. We can all think for ourselves, be educated ourselves. In this day and age, I'm not discrediting colleges and universities, but that education is overrated today. Okay, because they say 4 years out of school, everything you learned in school is obsolete. It's not even valid anymore.
Yeah.
Okay, and so we need to be educated on these issues. I believe that we need to have this thing called open-mindedness. Not just open-minded one way, where I need to be open-minded to the LGBTQIA plus community, but the LGBTQIA plus community needs to be open-minded towards people who are not a part of that community, towards people who don't understand. Okay, sometimes if you have it all it takes is a conversation. If we can have a conversation, things can be understood. I don't have to agree with you. You don't have to agree with me. But you know what? I don't agree with it, but I can understand that now. I can understand that when you give it to me this way. You know, I think it's very important. Okay, that as we go down the slope, that we start learning how to have conversations and start learning to listen to each other. If we can listen, we'll get somewhere. Because if we learn to see each other as people, right? Then once we see them, we put ourselves in a position to hear them. Okay, and if we put ourselves in a position to hear them, we put ourselves in a position to accept them, and we wind up accepting each other. I'm talking both ways. I'm talking from both sides of the aisle. We really only have two sides of the aisle. That's our Democratic side that says, you know, everybody be what you want, who you want, that identifies whatever. Then you have this side over here who says, no, you can't do that. But then you can, but, you know, I don't know. But you have this side over here, okay? Then you have the non-LGBTQIA plus, and you got the LGBTQIA plus, Democrat, Republican. There's not too many other sides, okay? And unfortunately, you know, you're either over here or you're over there. I like to say that not being compromised or anything, I'm right here. I'm with the Constitution of the United States that I live in. I'm with the Constitution that says you can be based on the Constitution, whatever you want to be. But you don't have the right to impede on anybody else's freedom to stand or believe whatever it is that they want to be or do. Okay? If the Ku Klux Klan wants to do a rally in front of my business and they have a license to do that, hey man, you know, I'm not down with it, but you know, they live in the country, they have the right to do that.
You want to use the girls' bathroom and there's only one toilet in there? Yeah. Go ahead.
I've done it.
But as soon as there's a second toilet in there and there's a minor in there, that's different.
Yeah. Stand where you stand.
Yeah. Or fall for anything.
Or fall for anything. And let everybody else stand where they stand. And everybody doesn't have to agree with each other. My grandma used to have a famous saying. It was famous in our family. Agree to disagree.
Oh, yeah.
That's it, man. Agree to disagree.
Saved a lot of marriages.
Listen, I enjoyed you guys today. I hope you enjoyed the show.
Oh, show.
Please look for us on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube. Am I missing?
Anywhere you listen to podcasts.
Anywhere you listen to podcasts. Faux Show Podcast. Listen, I love you, but I'm not in love with you.